and I love talking about it and studying it and thinking about it. But for healing and regeneration and staying healthy and longevity and fighting cancer and building, we don't need to know that. We just need to know that we're made up of cells and stuff. The cells make the stuff. When the cells are healthy, they're making the stuff. When they're not healthy, they're not making the stuff, period. Or they're making the wrong stuff. And by the way, when we say the wrong stuff, really fundamentally, the cell's doing the right thing. Cells aren't stupid. They're just reading the environment, and they're misjudging the environment that they're sitting in. And that's very important. You see, the cells determine what they're going to make based on the environment they're sitting in. This is where the medical model deceives us. The medical model does not tell us and does not promote the idea, maybe it doesn't even know it or recognize it itself, that what the cell is sitting in is of primal importance in determining. It is the determining factor in the health of the cell and how effectively it makes the stuff. It's what the cell is sitting in. That is the key point. That's the take-home message. The cells, we're all cells and stuff. The cells are making the stuff. When the cells are doing their business and when they're healthy, they're making the stuff correctly. When they're not doing their business or there's some kind of defect, they're not doing their stuff correctly. That's when we're sick. What is it that determines whether the cell will make the stuff correctly or not? What the cell is sitting in. You can't get inside the cell, or it's foolish actually to try to get inside the cell without working on the stuff. Why don't they tell us this? Why do they tell us, oh, we'll work with the genetics and we'll change the genes and we'll look and see we have now with this fancy genetic technology where we'll have special medicines that will manipulate the genes? Why don't they tell us that really it's the stuff that the cell is sitting in that determines what's happening in the genes? Oh, we know there's genetic correlates to cancer and it's caused by this gene and that gene, and oh, it's in your genes and your mom had it, so you're going to have. Why don't they tell us that the genes respond to what the cell is sitting in, to the environment? You know why? Because we don't need doctors to fix the environment. We don't need a medical model to fix the environment. There's going to be a lot of unemployed doctors and unemployed drug company executives and unemployed healthcare professionals, really, because our whole entire model is based on fixing the cell, the inside of the cell, and bypassing the stuff that the cell is sitting in. But it doesn't matter, because who controls the stuff? We do. Or who controls the environment that the cell is sitting in? We do. The environment that the cell is sitting in that determines what's going to be produced or how effective the cell is going to do its business or how healthy the cell is based on food, it's based on oxygen, and it's based on toxicity or the lack thereof. Now, you can factor in emotional and mental issues. Those are involved as well. Spiritual issues too. But you know what? None of that requires a doctor. It's all about the foods we're eating from a physical perspective, leaving aside the mental and the emotional and the spiritual, which are all important. From a physical perspective, it's all about the foods we're eating, and that includes sugar, the oxygen we're getting or not getting, and the toxicity that's accruing. That's it, you guys. And that is every single degenerative health crisis. That is so powerful. If you are dealing with cancer, or you're dealing with heart disease, or you're dealing with diabetes, you're dealing with any chronic long-term health issue, this is the best news. If you understand what I just said, that's the best news you'll ever hear. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We're coming back with more good health information on the bright side right now. Back on the bright side, I am Pharmacist Ben. Got lines open for you at 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products or health challenges you may be dealing with, if you want to wean yourself off or a loved one off your meds and onto a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you do that. Or if you just have a success story you'd like to share, or if you want to contribute to our conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number today and every day on the bright side. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you hear advertised on the program or recommended on the program, 866-735-2470 is the phone number for the Brightside Ben team. They can take your order right on the phone, or you can go to brightsideben.com and order products off the website. Of course, you can also call 866-735-2470 to sign up and join the Brightside Ben team and help me in my mission to educate the world about how important and how powerful and how effective and how life-changing the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is, and the Healthy Start Pack is, and the Biolumin Nightly Essence and the Ultimate Enzyme is, and just getting on a good nutritional supplement program, how powerful it can be. You can also go to my blog, pharmacistben.com or criticalhealthnews.com, which we update regularly with blog posts as well as news stories. We also have a video series that I'm doing with my friend Jonty Collier, who set up criticalhealthnews.com. So we have videos up on various questions. If you have a question that you want us answered on the video, want answered on our video series, send an email to criticalhealthnews.com, criticalhealthnews.com. Okay, so we're talking fats, we're talking water-soluble nutrients, we're talking the distinction, how important it is to understand the distinction, how important it is to understand that we have power over our disease processes. If you're dealing with some kind of chronic degenerative disease, please understand it's not a medical concern. Medical concerns should be about repairing, about broken stuff. If you get hit by a car, hit by a bus. Lifestyle issues. Basically, what the cell is sitting in is a lifestyle, is based on lifestyle criteria, lifestyle concerns. Food, most especially food. Toxicity, and that includes sugar. And oxygenation. That's why deep breathing, that's why reducing your intake of sugar, it's why controlling digestive health is so, so darn important, especially around the microbiome, good bacteria. From Fox News, this is yesterday. Actually, this is today. Do you have a food addiction? I realized this myself. I had a food addiction. I didn't have a food addiction. I realized I had an eating addiction. It wasn't that I was addicted to specific foods. I was addicted to eating, the process of eating. And how do I define that? Well, I still do. Not used to. I fight it every day. It's hardwired into us to be addicted to food, to be addicted to eating, I should say. I realized that I was eating when I wasn't hungry. That's how you know you have an addiction. If you're eating when you're not hungry, you're addicted to food. You're addicted to eating. If you're eating specific food when you're not hungry, you're addicted to that food. That's how you know you're addicted. If you're eating when you're not hungry. And I guarantee you guys, if you become introspective the next time you feel like eating and just turn your attention inside, and I'm not saying to change your behavior, just notice it, you'll notice that the vast majority of times that we eat or we think we want to eat, we're not even hungry. And if you check in with your stomach a lot of the times, or your digestive system a lot of the times, by just paying attention to it, placing your attention on your belly, you'll notice a lot of the times your belly isn't not merely unhungry, your belly is screaming at you not to eat. I notice it myself. I want a food, and basically when I want that food, the vast majority of times I want it from my head. I want it from my mouth. I want it from my tongue. I want it from the flavor. I don't want it from my belly. I don't want it from my body. And when I check in with my body is saying, or my belly is saying, no, don't do it. And I still find that a lot of the times I do it. Now, this is not to beat myself up or anybody up. It's just to say that we have power over our chronic degenerative disease states. It's not a medical issue. You don't need a doctor. In fact, there's very little a doctor can do for you. You think these drugs cure anything? Listen, let's be logical here. Now we're not only taking drugs, prescription drugs, because of our disease states, we're actually taking prescription drugs because it will reduce our risks. We have a risk management pharmacomedical model that doesn't even pretend to take care of our health. It just admits, oh, you'll reduce your risk of a heart attack by 23%. What does that even mean? That now you have a 76% or a 77% chance of a heart attack? What does it mean to reduce your risk by 23%? It doesn't even make sense from a health perspective, because now you still have a 76% chance of having a heart attack, whatever that means. It's like a cloud, a hypnotic cloud we're under. The medical model has us hypnotized, and it's been doing it for generations, to the point now we just assume if we're sick, we go to the doctor. This is why we have these antibiotic problems. Big problems with antibiotics that don't work. Antibiotics don't work anymore. You could have seen it coming. So you know what they do? This is their solution to antibiotics that don't work because the bacteria are resistant. Here's the solution. More antibiotics, stronger antibiotics. That's the solution. Not that you don't need antibiotics occasionally, but you certainly don't need them as much as we're taking them. And by the way, you know most antibiotics that we take are come in through the food. That's where the vast majority of antibiotics are sold to, is agriculture companies and farms, to keep the pigs and the chickens and the farm animals from getting sick because they're packed in so tightly. Go see a movie, Food Inc., if you really want to get an understanding of our food supply. Okay. 844-236-6010 is our number. I got so much more I want to say here. We'll take your phone calls. I've got a bunch of lines open for you. I'll take Ray here in New York, and then we'll get to some letters if we don't have any more phone calls. 844-236-6010 is our number. Ray in New York, what's going on? Welcome to the bright side.
Hey, good morning, Ben. How are you today?
Doing good. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, Ben, I'm calling in regards to my daughter. She's 16.
Okay.
And she has two issues going on with her skin.
Okay.
The first one is on her upper chest and lower neck. She has these white spots on her skin. It's like there's no pigment.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
They just came about in the past month. And
are they little spots, or are they little tiny spots?
Little tiny circular, like less than the size of a BB. About maybe half a dozen, 12 to 20 spots.
That's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's interesting because your daughter's 16, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that's not good news, but you can turn it around and make it good news. You know what those are signs of?
I think it's stress.
No. I mean, that's probably involved in some level, and stress is kind of a generic word, so it's a physiologic stress. Listen, this is kind of, I want everybody to hear this now. She's 16, right? These are manifestations of the aging process. Isn't that interesting? The skin is aging already. Her body's already aging at the age of 16.
Wow. Well, could it be compounded by the stress?
Of course it is. Now, hang on, though, Ray. You sound like a smart guy. Don't throw words around like that. Do you mean emotional stress? Do you mean mental stress? Do you mean blood sugar stress? Do you mean physiological stress? What do you mean exactly?
Well, her mom and I are just going through a divorce.
So you mean mental and emotional stress?
Yes.
When you say stress. Because everything is caused by stress in the sense that it's all burden. A stress is a burden. Everything's a burden. But you're talking about emotional and mental stress. I'm not picking on you. I think it's very important to make this distinction because we throw that word around a lot. When we talk about stress, a lot of times we're thinking about the mental and the emotional. We don't realize that the physiologic stress has an equally important impact as the mental and emotional stress. And yes, indeed, it's a fungal issue. It has to do with a fungus. It's called tinea versicolor. Have you heard that word, Ray, or that diagnosis?
I have not, but...
Okay, hang tight. We'll be back when we come... Okay, we are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on our archive page at brightsideben.com. You'll find all the longevity products at brightsideben.com. Same with criticalhealthnews.com and pharmacistben.com. Also blog posts and news stories. Thank you, John T. Collier and Robert Lundgren, for setting those up. Okay, got lines open for you, 844-236-6010. We're talking to Ray in New York. So I didn't mean to pick on you there, Ray, about the whole stress thing, but I think it's important that we recognize that everything's a stress in one way or another. By the way, there's a difference between stress and strain. Stress is what happens to the bridge or the body. Actually, it started out as an engineering word before it was a biological word. Stress is the amount of force, and strain is the response. So when we talk about stress, we're really talking about strain. We're talking about the response. The body has an ability to deal with stress. When disease manifests in response to stress, that means it's overloaded. And that's really what we're talking about. Ray, you there, my man?
Yes, man. Okay.
So let's talk.
No, I see your point.
Okay, good.
In regards to these spots,
the
pediatrician gave her a fungal cream.
Right. That's because it's a fungal infection. But the problem is, and this is why dermatology and me don't get along, by the time you got the fungal infection, the problem's over. It's inside where you had the issue, not on the outside. Why is this happening? But dermatology is still stuck with giving steroid creams, immune suppressants, and antimicrobials, antibiotics and antifungals. Still, to this day, after 100 years of dermatologists, we still do the exact same thing. So here's the deal. She has a fungal infection, probably. Now, sometimes there's eczema that's involved, but we're just going to go with the fungal infection. Fungus in the body live in balance with bacteria. And we're always talking about the good bacteria, the microbiome, the probiotics, etc. Well, these things live in the gut largely, although they're also in the skin, and they're also in the lungs for that matter, these good bacteria. And when they die off, the fungus overgrow. Follow? Make sense?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, now,